Amigos, hola, hola, bienvenidos. Be welcome to Lima again. And look at the amazing sight we have in front. This is one of the most impressive and oldest constructions we have in Lima. And today, the surprise is that we have the permits to visit this museum inside. So we're going to have a VIP opportunity today. Hola, Catherine. Thanks for coming. Gracias. Hola, Adrian. Thank you. Gracias. Thanks for coming. Hi, Shelly. Hola, from the still cold Canada, maybe. Thanks for coming. Thank you, my friends. Hi, Lali. Thanks for visiting Lima, and thanks to all of you archaeology lovers, history lovers that, as me, are always looking to enlarge your knowledge about the ancient civilizations of the world. And in particular, in this case, about the Peruvian civilization, the Incan civilization, but to be more precise, the pre-Incan civilization. So we are not yet starting this tour. This is just a time to chit-chat, a time to say hi to you all. And well, now let me introduce myself more properly. Hello, hi friends. Hola, amigos. This is Vanessa, your guide. So here I am. And well, today we're going to explore together this interesting site, this fantastic place that is standing up still after so many earthquakes, so many tremors, the passing of the Spanish conquistadors, the passing of the modernity. This place resisted so many thousands of years to be here today and be a silent witness that is going to tell us the history of the pre-Hispanic Lima. So we just have to learn to hear the voice of our ancestors, and thanks to the archaeologists, thanks to the archaeologists in general, the archaeologists that are working unstoppable to understand this past, we are going to give you today really good, insightful information about this place. Oh, so Marilyn, hola, thanks for coming. Hola, Sid, thanks for visiting. And well, we have today the chance of going back in time. We will use our imagination to go back in time to the pre-Hispanic era. So, well, today's tour is to discover the secrets of the old city of Lima, the one that was created by my Incan and pre-Incan ancestors, the one that was here when the conquistadors came, the one that was partially erased by the conquest and by these new forms of life imposed by the Spaniards, who were here trying to educate us into a new form of living, let's say reform us also because they believe our traditions were not adequate. But at the end, what happened is that we created a unique mixed style in architecture, in the way of eating, in the way of talking, in the religion, etc. So we're going to focus in archaeology today. Thank you so much for visiting Lima. My name is Vanessa Vasquez. I am an official tour guide from Lima, Peru. I became a tour guide in 2005, and since 2006 I'm working as a guide. And well, this is my first love, honestly, being a tour guide. My second love is my husband, who is here. Actually, my husband is also a tour guide.
Everybody.
We are both guides, and he is an archaeologist also on top of that. So we are going together to show you this site. We're going to tell you history stories about this place. He as an archaeologist, me as a tour guide, lover of history and archaeologist wannabe. So we're going to be answering your questions. Here, my handsome husband. And don't forget, great cook, macho driver, etc., etc., etc. as well. So, well, we're going to be together visiting this site. We have to use our face mask for that purpose, of course, because this is still a museum, it's a public place. So we are going to, of course, show you lots of this site. And thank you so much to the administration of the site we're going to visit. It is called Huaca Huayamarca, highly recommended place in Lima. If you ever come to the city, please visit this site. You will not be disappointed. Also, you can follow their social media, which I'm going to be sharing with you later on. They are in Facebook, they are in Instagram, they are everywhere too. So, well, are you ready to start with this adventure? Give me a thumbs up. Also, let me know if you are new to my tours here in Lima, new to my channel. I would like to give you a very warm welcome into this wonderful group of friends we are forming here, virtual friends we are forming here in Lima. So thank you so much. Ready, set, and go. Vamos. So, oh Valerie, thanks to be here today. Thank you for visiting for the first time in Lima virtually. And well, I hope you enjoy very much all my upcoming tours. So thank you, Valerie. Gracias and be welcome. So look at this. Oh, Betsy, thank you for being for the first time in my channel. I'm sure you're going to love the tours we have here for you prepare in Lima. And also don't forget to follow my channel. In the upper part of the screen there is a button where you can also get additionally all my information for later, well, to keep in touch. So, by the way, Valerie, Betsy, Suzanne, that is also new to my channel. I do all kinds of tours in Lima, from the archaeological tours like this one, passing through the culinary tours, cooking in my home, doing lectures from my home, and also traditional tours of the historic center, for example, more colonial style, even heritage tours, right? So you will not be bored in Lima. So today we are going to go back in time thousands of years, actually 2,000 years behind the present time, to understand how Lima looked back then in that period. And we are going together to have a clear idea, to make in ourselves, in our minds, a clear idea of how was life in that period. Because most people know about the conquest of the Spaniards. Most people even know about the Incas, Machu Picchu, Cusco, Incan constructions. What about the pre-Hispanic people that lived before the Incas? What about the people who lived 2,000 years ago, for example, in the coast of Peru? So, well, now it is time to visit this museum, which has kindly opened their doors to Heygo. And this is so wonderful when they realized that virtual tourism was a possibility, and also that I knocked the door asking the permission to come here. They were so wonderful. They were so happy to show this place to you all. The name of this site is Huaca Huayamarca. And you can see the name of the site in this upper part, Huayamarca. We're going to move a little bit forward over here to give you better angle for a picture. Remember that you have the postcard option, and in a moment I will show you a better one because we have two sticks there. So here you can see for further information for future visits, the opening times of this museum. Prices here are in soles. By the way, $1 is approximately 4 soles. Peruvian currency is the sol. So we are going to visit now the site, and Huaca Huayamarca is one of the gems of the city of Lima. when the conquistadors came, actually they found some of these temples really interesting, very peculiar. The ones of the coast of Peru surprised them because they were completely different to the ones of the Andes, the ones, for example, of Cusco. So to my friends that already are acquainted with the archaeology of Peru, can you tell me what is the biggest difference between the architecture in the Andes of Peru and the architecture here in the coast? Keep that in mind, and if you have the answer, please write it here in the comment section. So once again, here the name of the site. We have Museo de Sitio, this is Site Museum, Guayamarca. So what is the meaning of Guayamarca, and why we call archaeological sites huacas? The word huaca is a pre-Hispanic Quechua word. Maybe you know a little bit about the different languages we have in Peru besides Spanish. For example, we have the Quechua, we have the Aymara, and we have also different Amazonian languages. The most spoken one after Spanish is Quechua. So huaca, the word huaca, comes from Quechua. It was the Frank language of the Incas, spoken in most of the Peruvian territory when Peru was not even yet Peru, right? When the Spaniards were here. And the Spaniards pointed out this language to be vastly extended in the territory. Huaca means shrine, holy place, place of worship. So, in the coast, is commenting Susan, they build with mud bricks? Correct, Susan, excellent. Thanks for that question, which actually became the answer. In the coast of Peru, you can see that the material used predominantly is indeed mud bricks. In the Andes, in the other hand, Machu Picchu, for example, was built with stone, right? So now Mari wants to give you some comments also.
Yeah, but why here they use mud bricks and no stones? Because we are in the desert. Lima is actually the second biggest city in the world, located on a desert after Cairo. And in the desert there are no stones. So that's why they use mud bricks.
So we have here, thank you, Marek. We have here some interesting pictures. This one, for example, is how nowadays the archaeological site looks from the air. The place where we are in this moment is San Isidro. San Isidro is one of the 43 districts of Lima. So Lima City is divided in districts. Some of them are very affluent. Some of them are very humble, very, very poor districts. Usually those are the ones in the outskirts. So you can immediately tell which kind of district is this one. How does it feel from the picture? Do you think it's wealthy? Do you think it's middle class? Do you think it's low income? Let me know it, please, in the comments. And also, notice here in the center, the archaeological site. Indeed, yes, of course. Not just wealthy, also busy, says Shelley. Yes, very busy. You can see the enormous amount of buildings here. And we have here some interesting information for you, for your pictures also. We have here a chronology of the history of Peru. This chronology is very complete. Of course, that the history of Peru is divided in 3 periods, very important. I think this is a very simplified way to see the history of the country. You see the ancient Peru, the viceroyalty period, and the republic, right? So the ancient Peru period ends with the arrival of the conquistadors in the year 1532. The viceroyalty period ends with the independence of Peru in 1821. It's a process until 1824 between San Martin and Bolivar. And well, we are living until the present days, of course, the Republic period. So where we are, Marek, in this chart?
In the ancient Peru, we are here between the late formative and the regional developments. Look, the Inca Empire is just the end. It's just the end of a big process. No? It's the top of a big pyramid, but we here are in this part between late formative and regional development. Specifically, we can see in this line of time, between 200 years BC, here A is not after, it's antes, that means before, 200 years BC, and 200 years DC, después, no? After Christ.
Exactly. So antes, before, después, after, right? So this is the period of construction of the site. It took about 400 years, the specialists believe, to make the temple we are about to see. But it was abandoned and later on used as a cemetery, even occupied during the Inca period. But the name of the site, I didn't answer. What is the meaning of the site? The place is called Huayamarca. And Huayamarca comes probably from the name of the town. This was a town when the Spaniards came to this place, a town of villagers that came live around this place, and they call themselves Huayamarca. Marca means town, and Huayas were the people of this place, the town of the Huayas, Huayamarca.
Specifically, the construction is the Huaca. The Huaca is the sacred place of the Huayas.
Exactly. So here we have two pictures, and let's concentrate in these interesting pictures of the one 1944 and the other one nowadays, Huayamarca.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the difference and the damage the people made here in the 40s. Lima started to grow very fast in the 40s. We had a lot of migration from the Andes that reached the resorts of Miraflores, Barranco, and Chorrillos, and the rich people from those neighborhoods want to move to another very exclusive site. And the developer companies found this very nice part here in San Isidro that was still empty and start to build all these nice and fancy houses and buildings that are here around. And they use the place of Huayamarca as a quarry. Imagine that damage. Here, that damage was made by a truck that get into the archaeological sites to take bricks or fabric new bricks for the constructions that were made around. No, it's 1994. The dimensions of the sites are 120 meters long and 60 meters wide. Nowadays, it's a little bit smaller. Now the construction is 85 meters long and 60 meters wide, no, because of the damage.
Also, you can notice here that the two sites don't look the same.
Yeah.
Don't you notice that, my friends? Do you see that there is a big difference between the before and after? So how come we came to the conclusion that the site look like this, like the nowadays picture, having originally a site that looks slightly different, where there is no visible ramp also. You see there must have been a ramp, but the proportions of the ramp are, let's say, different than the one we see nowadays. So we're going to come to answer this question just in a little while, okay? So keep this image in mind. We will continue walking. And also here we have a very important character for the museum and the story of this site. Arturo Jimenez Borja was a archaeology lover. He was not a former archaeologist. Actually, he was a doctor, but he loved archaeology, and he invested lots of his money. Actually, he used his own money to reconstruct different archaeological sites in Lima. This is one of the places in which he put his own money to not just reconstruct, basically to save from the destruction that was happening in that period in the 1940s, especially early 50s, a period of improvement of the city, urbanization of Lima, a period when the temples were not seen as important. They had no importance. People used them as quarries, people used them as public dumps, but there were few progressive people, few people that really loved the past, and they believed that these places were valuable. But back then, there was not much money, indeed, from the government to invest in restoration of sites. So they had to do, in some cases, this restoration from their own money. This is the reason why the reconstruction of this site looks actually so sort of like different than the original plan. It was not made proper investigations on how the place looked like. And the archaeologists and also restorers of that period of the 50s 30s, of the 40s, they were strongly influenced by, for example, the Egyptology, by Egypt. So they tried to copy, or they believe that these temples would look originally similar to Egyptian pyramids, or also the Aztecs pyramids. So this is why the group, the team that restored this place, gave it the looks that you see here.
It's a very interesting history of the evolution of the city and how the city grows in the beginning of the 20th century. For example, everyone see Europe as a model and want to be very European, and all of these archaeological sites we have here were considered not important because they are not European, they are from savages, from Indians. But it finishes after the Second World War. Around the 40s, around the 50s, the minds start to change, because after the Second World War, we also noticed that the European also could be savages, yes? So maybe we can take in consideration also that our own culture was very important for our history, and in that moment we start to consider all those archaeological sites as an important place of our identity and start to look inside then in other continents.
So we have here two interesting things. Look at the two sides of the ramp. We have a section that is sort of like very different, like this one here on the left, that has the mud bricks out, right, that they are not in impeccable position, like the other one over here. So this side here was completely restored, or, well, in this case would be reconstructed. Reconstructions are not allowed anymore under modern archaeological standards. So does anyone in the group knows what is the difference between reconstruction and restoration? Please let me know here in the comments. I would like to know if anyone knows the meaning, and I'm going to go deeper into this. But remember, this part was reconstructed. So look at the material here. We're going upwards, walking up through this ramp. And in the pre-Hispanic times, ramps were very important as a way of connecting the world of the common and the world of the gods, the world of the divine. So also the psychological effect of that among the people was very important. So Shelley is commenting. Thank you, Shelley, for commenting, by the way, my friends. And don't be shy. Please comment. So reconstruction is bringing in new. Restoration is using what is already present. Excellent, Shelley. That's right. Reconstruction is building as people thought it looked exactly, even more precise, Carol. And restoration is restoring it to the known originally. Reconstruction is built from scratch, while restoring is preservation. Lali, Carol, and Shelley, thanks for your comments. And you are, of course, in the complete right pathway. That's the way actually we describe reconstruction versus restoration. So let me ask Marek, as an archaeologist, also about the difference in an archaeological point of view.
Yes, that's the difference mainly.
Exactly, yes, you're
And
correct.
in the restoration, you use also the same techniques. In reconstruction, you introduce new techniques and you use your imagination. And in the restoration, you cannot use it. Now, this is a restored part. It's a big difference between the other side, the right-hand side, and this, the left-hand side. Here you can see the original structures, original walls, insides, and even one wall with color, yellow
Exactly.
color.
There is a section with yellow color, which I will let me point out in this direction. So over here we have traces of the original yellow color, which we're going to see better in a moment. So indeed, well, also taking consideration that for archaeologists to restore, it takes lots of time instead of reconstructing, because you have to use, as Marek said, the original construction techniques from that time. And for doing that, you need a vast investigation of the materials, of the techniques, and it's not easy, because you are not going to take like 2 weeks to do something, you will take maybe 2 years in some cases, right? So that's why archaeologists are in holes, like digging for years sometimes, and they don't really do much in space. But what they do also brings back the history of that site, right? So here we have another informative panel in which we can see, for example, how archaeologists believed the site looked like originally and how it evolved over time. Remember that thanks to Mr. Jimenez Borja, this site caught the eye of people because the way how it looked magnificent, it looked huge, it looked like an Egyptian pyramid for a moment, right? So people thought, wow, this place is nice, let's not destroy it, let's keep it, right? So this is why people decided to keep it, thanks to that investment of time and money and sacrifice. Nowadays archaeologists would not do that, like for the show, of course, but thanks to that effort done, we have still the site with us, and that's not the case with many other we used to have in Lima. So, Marek?
Here we can see that the place was not built just once. No? It was built, there are 3 different stages, 3 different constructions. The oldest one and the first one is inside, is deeper. Here they built the second on the top of the other, and finally we saw the third one. That's the last stage of construction. All of those stages can be related with some natural disaster, maybe landslides, maybe earthquakes, or political changes, change of dynasties, change of rulers that rebuilt another building on top. There are more than 3 million adobe brick used in the construction of Huacahuayamarca. That means that it's a very powerful ruler that convinced all of those people to work for one ideology.
Mm-hmm. So, hi, Tiff. We are transmitting from Lima, Peru. We are in a district called San Isidro, a very posh, very elegant district. And surprisingly, in this nice modern district, we have traces of a construction from 2,000 years ago that give us an idea how Lima, the big capital of Peru, looked before the appearance of the Spaniards. We have also some pictures about the site. Thanks, Tish, for your question. So we have some images of different parts of the site which are not visible to the public, but still we can see the material, the technique of construction and the material. So before we keep walking and I keep telling you a little bit more about the history of this place, you know already that the material we use here is mud bricks, right? So, do we have chambers, room inside the temple? What do you think, my friends? Do you think we have rooms inside this temple? Hans, thank you so much for your tip support. As you know, this also helps me to keep doing these events and traveling and going here and there. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. And also we are supporting at the same time together Hego, because there's a little percentage that goes also to Hego for continue running the platform. Gracias. So I have a question also. What was the use of this construction at the beginning? Lali, the site we are seeing, maybe you saw how impressive this place is nowadays. Imagine that if for us modern people is impressive, imagine the impression that these sites caused in the common people of that times, right? So this place was a combined site related with religion and political power, right? So the psychological effect of such powerful building that looked like a mountain in the middle of a flat valley must have been amazing, right? So this was a place where there was a mixture of religiosity and also political power. So the answers to my question, I think so, says Valerie, possibly like for us answering if there were rooms inside. Catherine says, no, I don't think so. So, and the answer, my friends, is no, there are no rooms inside. The reason is because the material of construction is mud bricks. Imagine building something like this, for example, and having rooms inside. The weight of all of the mud bricks on top would immediately make collapse the construction after an earthquake. So these constructions, the temples of the coast of Peru, not just the ones of Lima, of the entire coast of Peru that are made in mud bricks, they don't have rooms inside. They are solid pyramids. And we call them pyramids indeed. They are irregular pyramids in most of the cases. Was it Egyptians before the Spaniards? My dear, when we are in Peru, we had Incas. We had Incas in this territory, and indeed, yes, we had Inca and pre-Inca societies. Actually, the culture that lived here in Lima, it was not the Inca culture originally, the one that built this site. It is called Lima culture.
This part of the pyramid was used or reused once again during the Inca period as a storage for food. No? From this place, they supply the people who work here in this area, in this valley.
Exactly. So the site originally was much bigger in terms of a space, in terms of, let's say, the zone occupied by the temple and surrounding buildings connected to the temple must have been at least double of the size of the site nowadays. We have, by the way, the vessels here. These are replicas, by the way. They are not the original found, because the originals, they are in a site museum, which is going to be reopened soon. And, well, the people in charge of the museum mentioned that they are going to let us know when they are going to be reopening the museum. That would be super fantastic to see this side with you all also. So this was a much bigger place, but also we used to have a larger community around this site. 2,000 years ago, the city of Lima looked, of course, very different. We were surrounded by the Andes on one side and the ocean on the other side. And I'm seeing also a couple of questions, I think. Catherine is asking, can you name some of the gods that they worship here? Oh, thank you, Catherine. Muchas gracias. Let me tell you, first of all, that unfortunately, the language of the Lima people, remember the ones that lived 2,000 years ago, it is something that we are not very sure about, like which language was. Some specialists, linguists, mentioned that possibly the people of the central coast of Peru spoke Quechua, a form of Quechua, the same language that the Incas spoke. Also, some hard to know in this moment because we don't have literature from that time. Why I'm saying this? Well, this is because the names of the gods that they had, we don't know their names, like the way how they called them. Most of the gods, deities we know, are the ones that they were named like that by the Incas, right? So the Incas spoke Quechua, but the Incas were originally from the Andes. When they came to the coast and they conquered this territory around the year 1470, they introduced their own gods, like the Inti, the sun god, Inti. The Quilla was the god, the moon, right? And they learn about the new gods from the coast. And the people of the coast had their own deities. So I think Mari wants to share something.
There's a little difference between the religion from the people of the coast and the people of the Andes. The most important is that the Andean society in the mountains, there were agriculture. And here, they were fishermen. Of course, they also practiced agriculture, but fishing was the main important activity, main economical activity. And the deities were related with the ocean. No? One very old deity here in the Andes is the god Con, the god that takes water, for example, from the ocean and takes that water to the top of the mountains, and the rivers are born there. The water was very important for them because we are in the desert. They also have deities related with water. They represent a lot of sharks or orca whales in the pottery. So we can also believe that big fishes or mammals, as a orca, were also deities for them.
Also, another thing that we have to relay on when we are trying to understand their religiosity, their religion, their cosmovision, is seeing the natural elements that are surrounding the community. Because these people were extremely impressed by all the elements around them. For example, in the Andes, you have the sun, you have the moon. They are important for the agriculture. They are connected with the rainy season, etc. In Peru, we have different realities. We are in the coast. Actually, we are in this moment in the top of the pyramid. And what these people were seeing around them, which ones were their guards, their protectors? In the case of the people of the coast of Peru, the things that impressed them the most were the shapes of the hills, the shapes of the mountains, which are there. You can see them in the distance. Today is still a foggy day. Here we have part of a mountain, and we have also part of a mountain over here. So these were the most impressive colosseums for them. Indeed, their traditions, their religion was connected with the mountains for the way how they look, but also because the water comes from the mountains. From there is where the source of water comes. Remember that in the coast of Peru, we are on a desert. We live on a desert. Lima is the second biggest city in the world built on a desert after Cairo. So the water source is not originated here. But we have water from rivers, right? So if we had rain, also Lali's comment, it could be mud bricks be ruined by the big rain or storm. Of course, Lali. And this indicates that we had no storms and no rains in Lima. This is the best proof that Lima lays on a desert. Imagine something like this in your cities. It would be a temple made of mud would be destroyed possibly within months in the rainy season. But here they've been for thousands of years. This is, by the way, traces of an ancient burial section. You can imagine that if this was a very important religious place, the most important people of the community would be, of course, benefited by being buried here. The leaders, the shamans, for example, the authorities, right? They were buried here in the upper part. The common people were buried below, where nowadays we have so many other houses. Paul, thank you so much for your support, my friend. Muchas gracias. Thank you. And you can see also the burials. And there were different kinds of burials in the pre-Hispanic times. So let's go also closer to another one, which is over here. So the burials in the pre-Hispanic period depend on where you were in Peru. Gracias, Catherine. Thank you, Carol. Can you see the bundles here? Which position do you think the body is inside? So let me show you, by the way, some interesting pictures I have for you. Look at this. We have an extended position burial and a fetal embryonic position burial. Which one do you think is the one inside the bundles? So these two, by the way, are originally from Peru. They are Peruvian. Exactly. Muy bien. Thank you, Catherine. Yes, Marilyn, fetal position. But both of these traditions are Peruvian. So this also indicates that there were different cultural traditions within my country in the pre-Hispanic times. This one here is from the central north part of Peru. This one here is from the south part of Peru. Are we in the central or in the south part of Peru, my friends? I hope the wind is not ruining too much my voice. We have a little bit of wind here. So we are in the central. That's right, Catherine. So how is this possible? We are supposed to be having here extended position of burials. Well, remember that the cultures were also conquistadors. There were cultures that conquered in Peru before the conquistadors from Spain. And one of the biggest conquistadors, let's say in a way, in a more ideological way, were the Wari people, the Wari culture. This is one of the biggest cultures of Peru. Also, if you want to keep digging in the history of Peru, try to look for information about the Wari culture, with W-A-R-I. You can also find it with H-U-A-R-I, Wari. They were, before the Incas, the biggest unifiers of this country. And also, well, at some point, well, they were sort of like conquering the territories, right? But it would be very hard to use the word conquest because archaeologists will not always be agreeing with this, right? So this is the fetal embryonic position.
Yeah, that fetal embryonic position is also very strong, full of symbolism, because that means the reborn. You are ready to reborn in the next life, because they believe that the life continue in other dimension.
Exactly. So there is an afterlife, and the afterlife is as important as this life. It actually can be very, very long, can be eternal. So this is why the people of the pre-Hispanic times buried their loved ones with the ornaments according to their status, also with different products related with the work they did, if they were not of high let's say society or the ruling group. If they were weavers, for example, they will be buried with these elements. Lali, thank you so much for your team support. Muchas gracias. Oh, Shelly, I didn't see your question. I think I have a question from Shelly. Does that man where was mummified, where was mummification used? Oh, is Shelly, I think I answered that question, but let me know if I didn't answer that question. So the mummification process, by the way, was very simple. Let's go back to the mummification process. This was natural mummification. We are not talking about, like, for example, the Egyptian style of mummification when you are doing it artificially. You can also notice that the skin in this mummy, for example, still is there, as well as the fingerprints, hair, etc. And even the organs. The organs were also inside. So the mummification happened more for external causes, external elements that created conditions in which the bacteria did not proliferate inside, right? Are these burial mummies in original? No, my dear Suzanne. Those that you saw are replicas, and also many museums use replicas because the original ones are so valuable. You can see, for example, this one here. Look at the eyes. Which stone do you think is in the eyes of this fake head that was discovered on top of a mummy? That's right, Marilyn. Yes, Shirley. It actually is, my dear Catherine, Lapis Lazuli. And the only place in South America where you can find Lapis Lazuli, which is also an amazing stone, my favorite one, but we don't find it here in Peru, is in Chile. In Chile. So here we have something really interesting too.
That you can find lapis lazuli in the tombs in Peru, and lapis lazuli exists in the middle of the Chile, not even in the north. It's also a proof of a trade, in long distance trade in South America. Here I will show you something interesting. The level where we start this tour is not the original one. The pyramid is 19 meters high, considered the starting point, but this is not the original floor. The original floor is lower, at least 2 or 3 meters. Here we can see the excavation. That means that pyramid could have 22, 23 meter high. They are storage that belongs to the Waya people, no, not burial places. But the important thing is how high was the structure. Consider that there were no buildings around. All of those buildings here didn't exist at that time, and they have the view to the ocean straight, no? To the ocean in one side and to the mountains in the other. The trees were very low, were some bushes, so also this construction can be seen on a distance as a reference point or as an orientation point. No? Take this in consideration when you think about this place, Guayamarca.
Also, the only zone where we can still see the ocean in a better day, actually not like this one so foggy, is between these two buildings. That is the only section in the whole site around the archaeological site where we can see still the ocean, which is over there in that zone. So nowadays we have a very posh, very exclusive part of the district behind those buildings is the golf course of San Isidro. So all those buildings are looking towards the golf course. Suzanne, thanks for your question. So yes, the replicas are located in the site where the original mummies were discovered. The bundles actually were discovered. Yes, my dear. Yes. So we have here, look at this, so good to see people visiting the site, now some in-person tourism. Also, we can see a little bit of the sun that is coming through the clouds. So indeed, the day at least is ending with a little bit of this original beauty of Lima in this time of the year, the time when we see the sun. The other part of the year, we just have two seasons. We have the summer season and the rest of the year, which is very ugly, very foggy, and well, it is what it is. Lima is nearly to be very close to be perfect. The only problem sometimes is the fog, but you know, this is the color of Lima, and Limanians are very used to the gray sky. So I hope I was able to answer all of your questions, and also we were able to give you some, let's say, information of your interest about this site. Marek and I, we are always happy to take you to archaeological places because, first of all, Marek is an archaeologist, also a tour guide, and I am an archaeologist wannabe. So thank you so much for your participation. Marlene, thank you so much for your tip support. Your tip support is the fuel that helps us to continue running tours because these are completely free tours, you know, just tip supported. And the tips also help Heygo to continue running this platform and also permitting them to continue making it open to everybody. Because that's how culture should be. We should be able to access to culture and also to get to know the world like this, to get a taste of the world. So I hope you were also fascinated a little bit more with the history of Peru with this tour. I do also several tours about archaeology. If you wish to know more about those, join please my channel in Heygo. There you will see lots of different tours, some of them about archaeology and also some about history. Tomorrow I have two tours for Heygo. Thank you, Jessica. Muchas gracias. Two tours for Heygo. They're going to be about something completely different. One of them is about religion in Peru, how Peruvians live their faith. If you want to know about what is the religion of the Peruvians? Are they Catholic? The answer will be yes and no at the same time. So if you want to learn more about the faith of the Peruvians, the religion of the Peruvians, come tomorrow to my tour and also have a book club. And we're going to be talking about a famous book from a Peruvian writer from the 19th century. So I promise you're going to love that book. It's going to be also very eye-opening. So please follow my channel. Also, if you want to follow my Facebook, my Instagram, if you do click to my channel, you will see all of my information there. My Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube channel. And if you wish also, I will give you a little bit more of information over here. You can make also a picture of this if you want later to follow my social media. Also, I'm seeing a question. Would you be able to go to some sites in the north of Peru? Suzanne, I was able to do a couple of tours for my friends that have been here also since last year. Maybe you remember that I went to Trujillo, I went to Chiclayo also, but I will be doing from home events also about those sites. And when I travel, I will be taking you there for sure. Thank you, Robert. Muchas gracias. Gracias, Jessica, Suzanne. And if you have any other question, this is, of course, a good time for answering. But if not, well, let me also give you, the chance to keep traveling with Hego, travel the world. We have so many more events coming just now also in the platform. And Suzanne, no worries, I will be traveling again. There's always a good reason to travel. So let me travel now to take you there to the north, my dear Suzanne. Gracias. And I hope to see you very soon. God bless you all. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. And take care, my dear friends. And also let's keep praying for the peace in the world, in Ukraine also together. So best to you all. Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye-bye. So just a last view of the top of the pyramid. We are in the top of the world. Or at least in the top of Lima. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.